Ryan, you've watched this draft process for so many years. I mean, and you're taking on some of the work of your dad. I mean, he spent so many years doing this exact same thing, and he's actually credited with with drafting the first European-born players. How has the European influence changed the way that the draft changed the way that you think about basketball globally? How has that sort of morphed over the years? I mean, because we even saw it here in Sacramento with, Jeff Petrie really starting to mine the European market with Peja Stojakovic, Turkoglu, players like that. But you've seen, teams like the Spurs really take advantage. I mean, I was watching the Western Conference Finals last week, and at one point, they had 4 foreign-born players on the floor at one time, and it's just not something that you see around the league everywhere. But the teams that do mine the European market, they have come up with a lot of sort of diamonds in the rough. And how has that really changed the game for you?
Well, I mean, you're right. My father was the first GM to ever draft international players with Dino Medellin, and Manuel Raga. Medellin, of course, is in the Hall of Fame. And of course, he was also a guy that was voted the best European player ever. Now, what it would have been like if he had come over and played for the Hawks back in the day, that could have changed everything back then. But back in the 90s, I was in Europe, and I saw a lot of the players, and they were good. The popularity of the sport, the access of cable and the NBA games made the game, or helped make it popular. We got more information out about these players, more statistics to all our teams. We put out rankings and said, hey, you got to get over here. These are good players. And it was the NBA teams, Dallas and San Antonio and others, that took that chance or made those decisions to get these players over here. This is a global sport. The leagues in Europe and around the world are strong. The popularity of the sport is strong. Every team covers the globe and must cover it. Because you're not just looking for European players, Asian, South America. You're trying to find basketball players. It doesn't matter where they're from. And there are sometimes, you might have teams that or leagues that have good players, or a draft class with more international players. But what's also important is that we're also bringing players that are not just drafted, but veterans from overseas over that we see that are quality players. So they not only that they're covering future draft eligible players, they're also covering players that may become free agents.
Isaiah Thomas is going
to India.
Going to India. I think he's already there. He's going to Mumbai, and I forget the other city. But he'll be in India, and this is all part of the plan. NBA 3.0, bringing the game to India and making the Sacramento Kings, not just the NBA, but making the Sacramento Kings the unofficial team of India, much like how the Houston Rockets for the longest time were the unofficial NBA team of China when Yao Ming used to play there.
So Isaiah Thomas is going to be the official player of India, and then if he signs with the Lakers, then the Lakers would be the official team of India. This could get sketchy, John.
That could get sketchy. I don't know if that's how it'll play out, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, this is a big deal, and he said, "I'm honored to be representing the Kings and the entire NBA in India this offseason, and will do whatever I can to help grow the game here by inspiring children." And he's a good role model to bring to a country like that, because we know India's not there are a lot of impoverished people out there in India, and Isaiah Thomas is a guy who's overcome a lot of odds. I think the fact that he's a 5'9" point guard, there are going to be some kids there who see him and say, this guy's not that much taller than me, and he plays basketball. I could do it too. And you can see him being an inspiration to kids there and making a difference and growing the game there. I was thinking about this. You think about the globalization of the NBA over the last 30 years, and I believe like when the dream team went to Barcelona or they traveled to France, when they were doing their tour around Europe before the Olympics in 1992, I think they went to France and, they played an exhibition game there. And somebody's going to have to double check me on this because I may be wrong, but I feel confident enough to tell this story that I believe Joakim Noah was like one of the kids. He was there with his mom or his dad or something. One of these kids just wanting to see the dream team, wanting to see Michael Jordan and to see Magic Johnson and Larry Bird and see them up close because he was, he had a passion for basketball. And I just being able to see them, I'm sure had a huge impact on his life. And now you see where he is today, 22 years later, all NBA first team, one of the best big men in the game. And just those little things, being able to see a guy up close and personal who plays this game can change the course of a kid's life and direction and give them the inspiration they need to chase that dream and become a basketball player. And that's what you do. I mean, that's how you grow the game globally, and that's what the Kings are doing in India with Isaiah.
With Isaiah, let's hope that this thing with Isaiah gets figured out very quickly, because I think it's just it's strange. It is strange that Isaiah is the one who shows up for draft party stuff, and that he's the guy who shows up at city council, and he's the guy who's made less than $1 million all 3 years in the league, and he's also the guy that isn't guaranteed a starting job or a contract with the Sacramento Kings next year. So he's a good guy. I hope it all works out for him.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite guys to cover because he's honest. He always gives you time. He does camps in Sacramento. He does camps up in Washington. He's a very, very good ambassador for the game. And he's also, like John said, someone that anyone can connect with because of his size and because of his giant smile and his positive attitude. Those are things that parents should, he's a guy that you want your kids looking up to. He's a guy that really strikes a chord with like the everyday fan. And so we'll see what